Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Amir Hasna binti Zainuddin. Today we are going to present Malware Response and Mitigation Plan, the Capita cyber attack. To kick off our presentation, I will start with an introduction to malware. Malware, or malicious software, is essentially the primary cybersecurity risk we face today. It is capable of doing serious harm, from stealing private information to completely hindering the way an organization functions. The reason this risk is growing so fast is that every organization now relies heavily on digital systems to store and process their data. When a malware attack actually happens, the damage is not just a small glitch. It can range from minor issues to major disaster, including the loss of critical data, system downtime, and severe financial losses. Therefore, it is vital for us to understand this threat so we can implement effective mitigation strategies to protect our digital assets. Now, let's move on to the types of malware. We will start with the category known as the spreaders, and the first one is the virus. The most defining characteristic of a computer virus is that it cannot operate by itself. It is host dependent, meaning it always needs a host program or legitimate device to exist. The virus works by attaching itself to a safe file, and it remains dormant or inactive until the user interacts with it. This is the tricky part. The virus only activates when the user executes the infected file. Once activated, the code runs and attempts to replicate itself by finding and infecting other files on the computer. Because it relies entirely on the user's action for initial activation, we classify the virus as a threat that specifically exploits human error. Next, we have the worm. While it is also a spreader, a worm is quite different from a virus. A worm is a self-replicating standalone program. Unlike a virus, a worm does not need a host file, and importantly, it does not need any user action to operate. Its mode of propagation is automatic. It works by constantly probing the network, looking for system weaknesses or unpatched security flaws to exploit. Once it gains access to one computer, it immediately hunts for other computers in the network to infect, creating a chain reaction of exponential growth. The effect of a worm is usually felt in network performance. It causes considerable network congestion and consumes large amounts of bandwidth. Furthermore, worms are often used as a delivery mechanism to drop even more harmful payloads like ransomware across the entire corporate network.
Hi, I am Shafika. I will explain about Trojan. Trojan, or known as a Trojan horse, is a type of malware that disguises itself as a legitimate or useful program. Unlike viruses, Trojans do not replicate themselves. Instead, they rely on users to unknowingly install them. For example, a Trojan may appear as a free software, cracked applications, email attachment, or fake updates. So once installed, a Trojan can create a backdoor for attackers to steal information such as usernames and passwords and allow hackers to remotely control the victim's computer. In short, Trojan trick users, and once inside the system, they give attackers full access. Next, a ransomware. Ransomware encrypts a victim file or locks the entire system. After that, the attacker demands a ransom payment, usually in cryptocurrency, in exchange for restoring access. A well-known example of ransomware is WannaCry, which affected thousands of computers worldwide. So ransomware typically spread through phishing emails, malicious websites, vulnerable or unpatched systems. The impact of ransomware is very serious because users lose access to important data, organizations may experience downtime, and paying the ransom does not guarantee data recovery. Therefore, ransomware is considered one of the most disruptive malware threats today. Last one is spyware. Spyware secretly monitor and collect information from a user's system without their knowledge. So, spyware can record keystrokes, track browsing activity, capture login credentials, or steal personal and financial information. Spyware is often installed through bundle software, malicious link, or affected advertisement. Because spyware operates silently, many victims do not realize the data is being stolen, making it very dangerous.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Noaina Saira binti M. Surata at Cairo. My metric number 077063. Today, I would like to present a malware case study about the Capita cyber attack in 2023. So first, background of the organization. Capita PLC is a large company in the United Kingdom. It provides important services such as pension services, IT support, and call center services. Capita works with both government and private organizations. Because the company stores a lot of sensitive personal and government data, it became an easy target for cyber attackers. So next, description of the incident. The attack was done by a ransomware group called Blackbuster. The attack started when an employee downloaded a malicious file. This allowed the attackers to enter Capita's internal networks. Due to weak security control, the attacker could move freely inside the system. They gained higher access because access control was not strong. After that, ransomware was installed and sensitive data was stolen. Some systems, including Microsoft 365, were shut down during the response. So next slide is impact of the attack. So first, exposure personal data. More than 6.6 million people were affected by this attack. The stolen data included name and home addresses, bank account details, national insurance number, and the last one, pension and personal information. Next, operational disruption. Multiple government and local authority clients affected. System outages forced a switch to manual operation. And the last one, public-facing services experienced interruption. So next, financial and reputation impact. Capita lost over 106 million to fix the damage and recover system. The company was also fined 14 million by the UK Data Protection Authority. Because of this attack, Capita lost trust from client, faced strict investigation, and the last one suffered long-term damage to its reputation. So next, why the attack was successful? The attack was successful because of several key weaknesses. First, Capita had weak admin access control. Attackers were able to gain high-level access easily because admin accounts were not properly protected. Second, there was a slow response to the attack. Capita took a long time to detect and confirm the breach, which gave the attackers more time to steal data and spread the ransomware. Next, Capita had misconfigured cloud storage. Sensitive data was stored in the cloud without proper security settings, making it easier for attackers to access. Fourth, there was a lack of security monitoring. Suspicious activity were not detected early, allowing the attack to continue without being stopped. Finally, human error played an important role. An employee opened a harmful file, which allowed the attackers to enter the system.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I am Nurul Ainadira. So we will proceed with malware response and mitigation plan. First, we will go through the elements of malware response and mitigation plan. First one is prevention. Prevention measures to prevent malware attacks before they occur. Second one is detection. Detection process to identify malware activity early. Containment. Containment is an action to stop malware from spreading and reduce damage. Eradication. Eradication is removing all malware and eliminate the root cause. Recovery. Recovery is restoring the system, data and services safely. While communication is to inform stakeholders and coordinate response actions. Let's dive into three of the elements of malware response and mitigation plan. The first one is prevention. Prevention focuses on stopping malware attacks before they occur. Organizations can achieve this by conducting regular cybersecurity awareness training to reduce human error, applying least privilege access and Active Directory tiering to control user permissions, keeping all software and systems up to date with security patches, and ensuring that cloud storage and servers are securely configured to prevent misconfiguration. The next one is detection. Detection ensures that any malware or suspicious activity is identified as early as possible. This can be done by deploying EDR or XDR solution for continuous 24/7 monitoring, configuring SIEM's system to collect logs and generate alerts for abnormal behavior, and define threshold rules to quickly flag suspicious events before they escalate. The last one is containment. Containment aimed to minimize the impact of an attack once detected. Rapid isolation protocols and can sandbox infected hosts. Network segmentation can prevent malware from spreading to other critical systems. And temporarily shutting down compromised services allows investigation and remediation without further damage.
Hi, my name is Anissa Devita Mazamri and I'm going to continue about the malware response and mitigation plan. So, the first phase is eradication. Once an attack is contained, the real work begins to ensure it never happens again. The eradication phase is about surgical removal, and we must conduct a root cause analysis where we find out exactly how the attacker got in so we can lock the door permanently. Then we perform a deep clean. This doesn't mean just deleting files. It means rebuilding critical systems for a non-clean state to eliminate any hidden backdoors. And finally, we reset credentials for all compromised accounts, like cutting off the attacker's stolen keys. After eradication, the phase recovery. So this recovery phase focuses on safe restoration. The golden rule here is to restore from secure, like offline backups, and the kind that ransomware cannot touch. But before flipping the switch, we must verify the restore systems are clean through security audits. And recovery is done in phases under enhanced monitoring to ensure stability. Lastly is the communication strategy. The parallel to all technical work is the critical communication phase. Internally, a clear chain of command is vital to control the response and give staff precise instructions. Externally, our strategy must rebuild trust and comply with the law. This means promptly notifying regulators under laws like GDPR and being transparent with affected customers about what happened. The goal here is control, accurate and compliant communication to manage the crisis narrative and legal fallout. In a nutshell, what's the ultimate lesson from this analysis? First, cyber failures are never due to one flaw. They are the result of several vulnerabilities like weak access control, human error, and slow detection aligning. This brings us to the second point, which is time is the attacker's greatest ally. The longer a breach goes unseen, the worse it gets. So, the solution is a proactive multi-layered defense. It's the synergy of technology like EDR and secure backups, strong processes like patch management, and trained people. Success isn't a one-time project. It demands continuous investment, education, and adaptation to new threats. In the end, robust security is an ongoing commitment to vigilance at every level of the organization. Thank you.